Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first meeting of the year. My name is Chris Hayden. I'm the president now of the Rotary Club of North Texas. Hopefully, everyone is having a good afternoon or evening, wherever you're watching this at. So let's get right into it. Welcome aboard. And can we get someone to volunteer to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I'll be happy. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jerica. All right, Mr. Howard, can you do our invocation, please?
Um, I think probably someone else would be better. It's on there. Oh, okay.
I got
So
you.
I thought I had to come up with one. Okay. As we gather here today as members of Rotary, we pray very mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let's continue to strive to make a better world.
Most definitely, most definitely. Hello, Miss Charlotte. Would you be able to assist us with who we are for the vision statement?
She's on the phone. I don't think she could see the screen.
Oh, she won't be able to see the screen? Well, I can do it myself. Well, it will be together we will see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our community, and in ourselves. All right, let's go to the next one. Oop, why is it going so fast? All right, so can we get a moment of silence for the victims that happened in Kerrville, Texas? Moment taken. All right, so for District 5840, some of us already started to donate, but if you're willing to donate, they can utilize the funds down there to help them out. And here's some information that's here. And if you want to know more about this on our government page, I mean, not government page, but on our district page and on their district page as well, it gives you all the information. The information is listed here. So you can always refer back to this video or our information on our page to get this information again. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so for the month of July, it is Maternal and Child Health Month. So what can you do to support the international theme? Anybody got any volunteers want to share what they want to do?
Have a baby?
I know her.
I know our club is
Robin,
going to
it's up to
have
you.
our club is going to have Darren Collins at our meeting next Tuesday, and he has a project called Project Hand Up. It's where they use puppetry in Kenya to help educate children and their families about water safety, disease prevention, a lot of things. So I would love for our club to be able to donate $250 if everybody would kind of give in. What was it, Chris? If everybody gave 200 or $20, we would need.
$20. We can all reach that goal easily.
Perfect.
20 to
So
$25.
Chris, how can they make that donation?
All right, so I'll resend out an email, but I sent out a previous email before letting y'all know that that was going to be our first one for me coming in with our installation coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I'll resend that out again so where you get all the information that you need to know. So if you are interested, just reach out or look for the email in the following days. I might get that out today or tomorrow morning.
I was gonna say one thing that I can do, but it would be um I don't know how it would support the Rotary, but one thing is with all the kids I've had is teach people how to regulate their emotions because I'm doing that with my kids. And it's challenging, but it's fun to watch them when they start to learn how to deep breathe and then show others like how to deep breathe. Because when the mom deep breathes, then the child does it. I'm like, I don't know if that has anything to do with help Rotary, but I'm like, there's an idea I could do.
Well, man, it's a great idea. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to put it, to work with those around you. So I don't see why not.
Because what I could do it, I don't know if it'd be okay or not, but if I made like a video and then I could post that on Rotary, or I could send it to one of you first. And then you
Well,
guys could be like, hey, yeah, we
that could
could
be
do
great
that.
for us. We could post that to our group page, and then from there, that showing that you're giving some kind of help back.
Yeah, because that's something I could do. That's why I'm trying to think of ideas.
Then that's a fantastic idea. Love it. Anybody else want to join in? All right, cool. Going to the next. So we have anniversaries. All right. So this month is Miss Carlissa, Miss Linda, and Mr. David and myself. How many years? I don't know at the moment. I'm still looking up that information.
Well, Linda was around during Revolution, so.
Well, I mean, hey, she was part of the first wave of ladies to come in and definitely change some stuff around. So we appreciate all of her work.
Yeah, she is Rotary. Yeah.
Yes, she's definitely E-Club Rotary. Yes, love it. We appreciate her. Sorry she couldn't be here. All right, going to the next one. Any birthdays? Anybody celebrating a birthday today or this month? How are we turning?
July 31st.
All right, all right.
Well, happy early birthday, Howard.
Yeah. Well, my birthday wish last July was to be 76 this year. So I'm right on target. And
All right.
every morning is like a win because I'm getting closer to my more birthday wish.
Hey, you want to surpass that by miles. Come on.
I feel like a car with 250,000 miles on it.
All right, going to the next one. So this weekend we having our club roundtable for the district. They changed the name from roundtable to the Club Leadership Exchange, and that's going on this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9:30. And you can also join online if you want to follow on officers. It's more driven to get us out there and start networking with those in the club and in our district. So it'll be something fun to do if y'all would like to join us. I'll be there, and a couple other people from our club will be there as well. All right, let's go to the next one. Any announcements anybody wants to make? Boop, boop.
We have our annual banquet on Tuesday of next week. Go through the line and get your food at 5:30, and we'll start the program at 6. It's at Spring Creek Barbecue.
Yes, indeed. We can also send it out again for those who are interested because we want to keep everybody in the loop and communication. All right, anybody else want to make any announcements? All right. Mr. Howard, would you like to introduce our speaker, please?
Yes, and I want to thank him for being patient because we started a few minutes late. Thank you for that. His name is Andy, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Semotilik, is that correct?
Semichuk.
Semichuk. Okay, I apologize.
No problem.
I'm from Brooklyn. I can't even pronounce my own name. Okay. His topic is the art of life management, dealing with money, time, and balance. He's a U.S. and Canadian immigration and human rights lawyer. He's based in Toronto. He's practicing at Pace Law Firm. He's a member of the bars of New York, California, Ontario, and British Columbia. He's practiced law in L.A., New York, and Toronto. He's a former UN correspondent in New York, longtime Forbes contributor whose articles on immigration have been read by over 1 million readers. He brings global insight to discussions about law, migration, and human rights. Served for 3 years on the tribunal panel of the Canadian Human Rights Commission, senior advisor to the Center for Eastern European Democracy, a distinguished Toastmaster. He's taught in universities in the U.S. and Canada, and the author of 4 books, including Young Professional, and remains a leading voice on refugee and human rights issues, which I think is a very hot topic right now in this country. So we welcome you, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us. If you could mute your mics while he's speaking so it doesn't create background. If you want, Andy, you can use PowerPoint if you want. You don't have
I'm
to.
fine.
but
I'm
you have
fine.
that
I'm fine.
option. And we
Yeah.
usually mute our mics so there won't be noise, but if you need questions and answers at the end, we'll unmute for that. But this gives you more speaking ability.
Okay. Well, thank you very, very much, Howard and Chris, for enabling me to attend this meeting and share some thoughts with you. And I might just start by sharing my deepest concerns and best wishes to all those who have been affected by the floods in Texas. And I can share the anxiety of Canadians in general, I'm sure, but certainly, at least in my city of Toronto, for the parents and families of the ones who have lost their loved ones, especially the children involved. So let's pray that they are able to somehow get over this and that life can be restored to more normal circumstances. I want to just ask a quick question before I launch into things, and that's how much time roughly can I have here, Howard, on this presentation? How much time do you expect, much more or less?
20 to 30 minutes is
Okay.
recommended.
Okay, that'd be super. All right. And I just want to share with you that I've been around the Rotary circuit a bit, both in Edmonton, a little bit in Toronto, but also in particular in Manhattan when I was practicing law in Manhattan. I used to attend the Rotary meetings there. So I'm familiar with the game plan and what's going on here, and want to share my support for the purposes of Rotary and your club in particular. Now, this topic, the art of life management, dealing with money, time, and balance, that's a big topic to cover in just like 20 to 30 minutes. But let me give it a try and share some thoughts that hopefully may help you a little bit with the challenges you face in your lives. And I'll share some of my story to give you a sense of how things worked in my life. And let's start with money. That's usually a topic that most people are concerned about in one way or another. And it sort of launches well with these two big philosophical questions that all of us face pretty much in life, one way or another. And the questions are, number one, who am I? And the second one is, why am I here? Now, those are big, big questions. Just the question, who am I? And what's in between these two ears? You could spend your whole life on that question alone, the internal universe in there, not to mention the external universe. And the same with why am I here? But sooner or later, you got to come up with some kind of answers to those questions to get through life in some meaningful way and to figure out what you need to do with your life. When I talk like this to some students in colleges that I've attended or in classes I've led, I sometimes ask the students, what's the purpose of life? Which is like, why am I here, right? A different way of asking, why am I here? What's the purpose of life? And they give me all kinds of answers, like to be all you can be, or to love, to leave a legacy, to do kind things for people. These are all good answers to the big question, what's the purpose of life? I can't quibble with those answers. But I like to share one answer that I like, which is at least a part answer to that big question. And my answer is one of the things, at least, that you have to do with your life, purpose, is to find your unique ability. Search and look for and find your unique ability and put it into the service of others. I believe if you do that, you can become fulfilled and happy with your life. And just to explore that a little bit, there's a story that comes to mind that kind of fulfills a little of the insight with respect to this kind of talk. And it's the story of a guy named Karl Wallenda, who was once a great tightrope walker. And his life was all about the tightrope. And actually, Wallenda fell to his death, I think in the 1980s, when he was walking across a tightrope between two tall buildings in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And it was a tragedy. But before he died, journalists asked him, "But why do you why do you walk the tightrope? What's the sense of walking the tightrope?" And he gave them this answer. He said, "All my life is either a prelude to or a postscript after walking on the tightrope. I only really live when I walk on the tightrope." Now, that was, in his view, his unique ability. And he cared so much about that unique ability that he was willing to risk his life and death to live those moments when he walked the tightrope. And so the question to you is, what's so valuable to you that you might even be willing to risk your life for the sake of fulfilling or living that kind of a life? There are some other ways of talking about this thing. Elvis Presley, I read his biographies. I was interested in Elvis Presley. Some of you are old enough, I see, that you may know who that is. Some may not. But, well, he was a great singer, rock and roll singer. And he also said something very similar about his life. He said that the only time when he really felt he was living was when he was on stage singing to audiences. So you got to ask yourself, what is it in my life that's so valuable to me? Another way of putting this is, some of the sports personalities, a guy named, I think it was Roger Ashe. Is that the name? Arthur Ashe. He was a tennis player. He used to talk about being in the zone. You may have heard of being in the zone. All the big players, they talk in those terms. That when they're in the zone, they can score baskets in basketball from wherever on the court, hit that tennis ball like Ashe did, Arthur Ashe. Exactly the way it was supposed to be hit, and so on. Being in the zone. That's something that this guy, Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, I think is the way you say it. I'm not exactly sure of the pronunciation, but he's a professor, or he was, I'm not sure if he's still alive or not, at the Claremont College in California. And he wrote a book called Flow, which is another term that they use to talk about this feeling, this sense of being in the place where you belong. And he described how you can tell whether you're in flow in your life. And he talked about flow because he studied when are people the happiest? And the people he studied, the happiest people that he met, he asked them, well, what makes you happy? What makes your life worthwhile? And they talk about this feeling of flow and some of the things that he identified that would help us know that we're in that state are things like when you're in flow, you may be involved in this activity that preoccupies you. It might be a hobby like stamps, collecting stamps, or cooking, or gardening, or whatever it might be. But when you're in that activity, you might be there like for several hours, and you look up at the clock and you think of, you look and you see that you've been there for 2-3 hours, but it only seemed like 10-15 minutes to you. Or another way of knowing that you're in the flow is like the hair on your arms stands up when you're involved in it, or at the back of your neck. Or people say, you're really good at that. You should really take more time in that. You really stand out. You light up when you're doing it. I'm in flow right now, I believe. I'm doing something that I'm meant to do, is to share ideas like this with people like you. And so in terms of how does this relate to money? How do I make money out of this? You might be wondering, what is all this, philosophy? But let's talk about money. How do I make money on it? Well, the answer is, if you can identify your unique ability, and work in that area, as I mentioned, since it's your unique ability, you will be at your best in it. And the world will recognize you for being at your best. And there won't be much competition because you're at your best. There aren't many people who will be able to compete with you in this area, unlike others. So an example might be someone like Einstein, who loved physics. I mean, he would eat it for breakfast, lunch, and supper, all day long, physics. He was in this unique ability of his. And there's nobody who's going to be able to compete with Einstein in physics. Now, that doesn't mean he's a genius everywhere. Like if you gave him a basketball and said, come on, let's play basketball, he'd probably be lousier than most of us, or some of us at least. So, but in the area of physics, hey, not many people can compete with him. And so if you could employ this, now, how do you identify your unique ability? I'll spend a moment on that. I gave you some indicators, but let's look at it this way. If we took someone, let's say we took, shall we say, let's say Howard's name, and put it on a blackboard, and we said, we're going to take a few minutes today, and we're going to spell out on the blackboard what are all the abilities that Howard has, all the skills and abilities. Now, they may be skills like riding a bicycle or making pancakes, or they may be skills like brain surgery or, rocket ships, building rocket ships. Whatever they are, if we spent this group right here, a few hours describing all the skills that we know Howard has, and Howard participated also, and he listed them, in about 2-3 hours, we'd start running out of what his skills and abilities are. But let's assume that there's this phenomenal computer that's right over here with us, linked into this program right now. And this computer is so phenomenal, it's way better than AI. It's that good. It's so good that we could ask it, what are Howard's, all his skills and abilities? Can you make him a list right here? Print out one of these, spreadsheets. And also, can you list them in 4 categories: incompetent, competent, very good, unique ability. And let's say this imaginary computer had access to all his healthcare records, his educational records, police records, his achievement records, everything, his education, the whole works, everything about Howard. That computer, over in a few minutes, if it's like ChatGPT, if you ever tried using ChatGPT, it's like instant, could print out such a spreadsheet. And I believe you would agree with me that if there was such a spreadsheet, I got to be careful, sheet, that it would look like a bell curve. On the short end, there would be a few things he's not very good at. In the middle are all the things that he's fairly good or really good at. And on the side over here would be his unique ability. Now, it might be one or just a few, but the unique abilities are very like rare. It's not everything, right? And that's what we got to focus on. So once we did that, or if you took time and did that for yourself over a period of time, you would identify some unique abilities. And if you have those unique abilities and you go out into the marketplace with those, you should be able to do pretty good money-wise. But I'll identify one key thing to know about this unique ability business and money. And that's, you see over my shoulder here, there's a little plaque. It's from Toastmasters. I'm what they call a distinguished Toastmaster. I spent 35 years going to club meetings, just like this one for Rotary, but Toastmasters, where we studied communication skills and how to give talks like this one here. And it took me 35 years. I got this plaque. Some guys do it in 6 months. It took me 35 years. But I thought I'd go into the marketplace and I would be able to market this ability of mine and do something with it. But the world said, no, no, no. We don't want you to do that. We want you to write. And in writing, I have come to, some success. I'm a Forbes journalist for 10 years now, and I've published a few books and so on. So it's the crisscross between what the world wants and what you have to offer that you have to worry about when it comes to money. So you may be able to do basket weaving and be the best in the world in basket weaving, but it may be that the world doesn't want basket weavers. So you have to kind of adjust to what the world wants from you. So that's about money. Now, I spend most of my time on that money, but we're going to talk a little bit about time and then a few words about balance still. So we're going to go now to time. And I have just a few thoughts that I'm hoping you might find useful with respect to your time. Now, the key thing about time is there's a formula you can use that will make you more successful with respect to the time that you have. And obviously, none of us have unlimited time. We're all going to die. And if I had a tape measure, in fact, I do have, let me show you, if I can pull it out. Well, I thought it. Let's put it this way. If I had it, and I pulled it out, and I said to you, hey, let's do this exercise. Let's pull it out as long as, let's say, 90 inches. And I asked you, how long do you think you're going to live? You may come up with an answer, I don't know, 90 years, 95 years, 70 years, whatever it is. And I'll tell you that statistically, the expected life, length of life that men and women live say in the United States. I don't know about the United States, but in Canada, it's around 80 years, 81, 82, 83. I think the United States is close to that. It might be a little lower or a little higher. Let's say we took out this tape measure, and for 1 inch, let's say that's 1 year in your life, and we spread it across the table in front of you. And I asked you, you point now to where you are in terms of inches equal years. Howard spoke of 76 years. I'm up in that category, going up that category too. You may be a little lower, or maybe a lot lower. But, you know, that's a kind of a, if you look at it in those terms and you see you only got like 80 years to go, like Howard and I, or, you know, a few of us, we've only got like, I don't know, 5, 10 years left, right? You've lived your life. Now, some have more, but I'll bet even most of you will feel a little alarmed by how much has passed and how much you still got to go. Try it. I encourage you to try it. And that wakes you up a bit. You think, okay, now how do I make the most of what I got left? And the answer is 80-20. You might have heard of this. It's a Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, that 80% of what you want to get comes from 20% of what resources you have. It comes from, Pareto was an economist in Italy a couple of centuries ago. He noticed that 20% of the people have 80% of the wealth. 20% of the people make 80% of the income. And so that's the 80-20 rule. So in your life, whatever you're doing, 20% of what you're doing accounts for 80% of the results you're going to be getting. Now, there's a breakthrough idea that comes with respect to this formula. It came to me from listening to a guy named Jim Rohn, who was a great speaker. And he put it in these terms. He said, anything you're working on, anything you're trying to achieve, another way of looking at this 80-20 rule is to say basically 4 or 5 things that you do will account for 80% of the results that you're trying to get. So for example, if you want to, let's say, make $100,000 doing whatever work you're doing, you have to identify what are the 4 or 5 things that bring the biggest income to you. So, for example, if you're selling cars, maybe the biggest thing to do is to meet with people face to face to talk about selling the car. Or maybe it's prospecting and finding out who's available and who's got the money to buy the car. Or maybe it's determining what kind of cars are the best sellers. Whatever those key things are that you identify, you spend the 4 or 5 things. You spend 80% of your time doing those 4 or 5 things and spend 20% of your time doing everything else. That, in a nutshell, is how you can save a lot of time. And there's one other concept that I'd like to share in the area of time management that might be helpful. It's from Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Successful People. And he talks about a window consisting of 4 panes. If you could imagine a window here in front of me with 4 panes. And across the top of the window, there would be a category. It's called urgent, not urgent. And down the side, you have important, not important. So you got 4 categories: urgent and important, not urgent and important, important but not urgent, and neither important nor urgent. So when you're dealing with something, you ask yourself, what is this? And you make up a list of what you have to do. And so you might, at the beginning of your day, have a to-do list. And then you might ask yourself, is there anything on this list that is urgent and important that I have to do right now? So you categorize that A1. Is there anything else and anything else? And then you might ask, well, is there anything on this list that's important but not urgent? So you would then put that on the list. Then you'd put what's not urgent, not important but urgent. You put that in 3 and 4. So now you work from a list. Let's say A1. It's the number one thing you got to do in the at work today. You're sitting there working on that. The phone rings. It's a call from New York Times. Do you want to buy a subscription to New York Times? You look at your list. A1, you have to sell 5 cars today. You ask yourself, is this call from New York Times more important than A1 or not? It's not. So then you say, okay, down the list. I can't deal with this now. You're sitting there working on your A1 priority. The phone rings. It's from the hospital. Your spouse is sick. She broke her leg. You look at your list, A1, I got to sell 5 cars today. Then you ask, what's my spouse? She's in the hospital. She broke her leg. What's more important? Well, it's my spouse. I got to get out to the hospital. That's your new A1. Anyway, that's about time. I'm kind of taxing you in terms of fatigue factor and time in what I'm presenting here. So I'm just going to spend 2 more minutes with you on the question of balance. Time.
Recording stopped.
Oh, I guess that's it, is it? No? Okay. Can I continue still for 2-3 minutes? Okay. Time and balance have to do with values. It's what's important to you. I can't tell you what's important to you. Chris, I can't tell you what's important to you. You have to identify what's important. And it depends on your values, not my values, but your values. Values are always a question of what's a value to you, to someone, usually subjective, very rarely objective. One objective value might be don't do harm to anyone. That might be an objective value, but otherwise, most values are subjective. Nonetheless, so it's a value to who? In the area of balance, I'll just give you a little insight on how you can lead a more balanced life. Identify your values. So, for example, you might have the value of health, physical health, mental health, emotional health. You know, you might have values such as spiritual health. You might have social health, being, with friends. So you put those down and imagine a bicycle wheel. Imagine let's say a pizza pie circle. And you put these values into the pizza pie in triangles. Spiritual, emotional, physical, mental, or whatever. From the center out to the spokes, out to the rim, you put the numbers 1 through 10. And then I ask you, let's assume these are the values you've identified that you want to measure yourself by. Now I come up to you and I say, okay, let's take physical. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being fantastic, where are you? Well, if you came and asked me, where am I? I'd have to say, well, maybe like, I don't know, 7, right? Then if you ask me, well, where am I on the intellectual scale from 1 to 10, mentally, how am I doing? Maybe I'm a 9. Spiritually, maybe a 4, whatever it is. So if you connect those spokes around in a circle. If you're in balance, you should have a round circle. If you're out of balance, you're going to have a flat tire. And if you got a flat tire, it tells you that you got to work on that value that you say is important, but you're neglecting. And that's how you can track your values. I'll leave it there. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts with you. I'm open to any questions if you have any, but I'm also aware that the time has passed on. So back to Chris, I guess you're running the meeting.
Anyone have any questions? All right. Well, I have a question. So one of the questions that came about was you brought up the 80-20 rule. So what practices or exercises you would advise someone who's implementing that rule in their life?
Well, first thing I would do is in the morning, because we're talking about 80-20 is primarily a time thing, right? But it can also be other things. It can be like, what 4 or 5 things can I do about my physical health that will give me 80% of the results so I can lose the weight I need to lose weight, for example? Or what 4 or 5 things could I do in the area of money? That is to say, finding and working in my unique ability to maximize the chances of me making more money, getting money as a reward for my working in my passion, in the area of what is my passion. So there's some examples of how you can use the 80-20 rule by just asking yourself, if you list, let's say at the beginning of your day, let's put down a list of 10 things you got to do. What you can do is ask, okay, of these 10 things, what are the 4 or 5 that will give me the maximum results for the day, for what I'm trying to get out of this day? And then you identify A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. And you work A1, then A2, then A3, and so on. So that's a quick answer.
Hey, thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Hey, we appreciate you, Mr. Andy, for your time. Let me bring this back up for us. Give me one moment. All right. Current slide. All right. So we're going to do the 4-way test. Is everybody ready? Can anybody see the screen? All right. We're going to start it off. Join me in stating the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And number 5, will it be fun? All right, I appreciate everyone coming out, and thank you for the first meeting. And we have many more to come. So if you have any questions, concerns, please follow up with an email or give us a call.